Thank you. Yeah, good morning, everybody. It's nice to see so many faces here. Even though it's a talk about testing, I didn't expect so many people to come. That's cool. So, yeah, we're here today to convince you that it can be fun to write end-to-end tests, even with a little smile, just like our colleagues here. So these are two Java backend nerds having fun during writing tests, so you don't see that too often. I'd like to ask you to hold questions to the end, because lots of things will get clear during the talk. So let's begin. Yeah, we're from Shopping24. We are an e-commerce company, part of the Otto Group here in Hamburg. And Shopping24 has several shopping platforms. So you can, so we got a search engine, and you can look for clothes, interior, multimedia, anything you want. The idea behind it is that if you click on a product, and you will come to the real shops. So we don't have any shops of our own. It's like an affiliate channel. Yeah, we're very hyped to tell you all about this theme and how we addressed front-end testing. My name is Kim. I am a web developer, and this is my colleague Katja.
So hello from me as well. I'm Katja, and I'm head of quality assurance and SEO at Shopping24. And Kim and me, we are both big fans of reliable software, and we are really mad and sad when commits go live without being tested sufficiently, if they are tested at all. So that kind of looks like this. So before we dive in, we just want to make sure that we're on the same page on the understanding about end-to-end testing. So for us, we completely focus on the user and their experience on our website. So imagine you want to buy a smartwatch online. Go to your favorite shop, you search for a smartwatch, you pick the one you want to buy, you buy it, and you're done. So this is the customer journey you have on our website. And end-to-end tests verify that the whole customer journey works flawlessly. So please just keep in mind that the tools that we show you today in this presentation are just those that we like working with, and that you might choose other ones. But the tools are not the point of this talk. We just want to tell you about the testing process we found is very comfortable for us. So that's what we want to show you today. So at Shopping24, we needed to automate our campaign management. And the existing solutions weren't what we expected, so we developed a software that fits all our needs. And this software is compatible with all the platforms like Google AdWords and Bing. And its main task is to handle a great number of processes automatically. All the changes that are made in the software are synchronized with the platforms immediately. So for successful AdWords campaigns, it is essential to optimize the keyword performance so that the budget is used efficiently. And with our software, we have a lot of data insights, so you can analyze your performance. And for us, it was really crucial to have such a software, because we have millions of keywords, and they are just not able. We are just not able to handle them manually. So we needed a software which deals with them automatically. So just to give you an idea of what our software looks like, we added this screenshot. This is the main dashboard. The content of it isn't really important here. We just wanted to show you a little impression of it, so that you know what we are talking about today and for what we are building the tests. So now about the functionality of our software in a nutshell. So you have a user who has a list of keywords that he wants to upload to the magic software. In this kind of magic box, the texts for the ads gets created, the keyword booking jobs get started, and the account gets structured. In the end, the user can just make the optimization he wants to do. So now to the roadmap of today. We first want to explain you why we needed a radical change. We want to tell you about our first attempts and what we had to optimize. And in the end, we want to summarize all the learnings and experience we had during the process. So first of all, why has end-to-end testing become so important for us? More and more companies are using our software. That is great. But different companies mean also different solutions. So as the software was custom tailored for ourselves, we had to standardize a lot so that other people can use them as well. So the UI needed to be easy to understand and easy to use. We also wanted to move to a modern, state-of-the-art UI. We wanted to separate the data from the templating, and we wanted to kickstart with front-end testing to provide a good experience for the user. So we chose Vue.js. That's a progressive framework for building user interfaces, and it is pre-configured with the front-end testing. So the good thing is that you don't have to configure anything. You can just start writing the tests. In addition, I became a new full-time QA manager at Shopping24, so I helped to improve the mindset towards testing. So originally, our product was a Java application which took care of everything. So it not only read and wrote data from different sources, but it also generated the HTML. To create an environment in which we have a lot more flexibility, we separated the data processing from the templating. So now the Java backend is still there, but it only takes care of the data, not the UI. The UI now is fully in the hands of Vue.js, which runs in the user's browser. So client and backend are decoupled and exchangeable. The product team consists of a product owner, 2 full-stack developers, and 3 team members who create the mockups and support the team with business-related topics. As we added Vue.js, we wanted to support the 2 developers with dedicated front-end developers, and we added them to the team. So also me as the QA manager joined the team to help set up the QA process. So during the kickoff phase, the team was just a little bit bigger. To ensure that the 2 developers were comfortable with the new stack, we had a lot of discussions about it, and we transferred as much knowledge as possible. So after talking with the developers, I got a feeling of the mindset towards front-end testing. And what can I say? It was really bad. So I was able to determine this top 3 of most mentioned concerns towards testing. We are talking about Java developers, but the testing suite that came with Vue.js is all JavaScript, not Java. So the first concern was that the developers had to learn a new dedicated language. Concern number 2 was not having the time to write the front-end tests. So yes, of course, writing anything costs time, but this doesn't have to be a problem. And because our developers didn't have much experience in writing front-end tests, their third concern was not being sure how they should look like. For example, how specific a test should be. So with the presentation today, we want to show you that writing front-end tests can be easier than expected if you find the right approach for your team. So just by show of hands, who of you is a developer? And who of you writes front-end tests at all? And who of you enjoys writing front-end tests? That's what I thought. The rest of you probably feels like him. So you think the code base could benefit from a test coverage, but also it would be you having to write the tests, so you prefer not to do so. So I have another question for you. Who of you has had a live bug that cost a lot of money or a lot of frustration? And keep your hands up if you don't think that front-end tests could have helped you preventing this. So you're the one I have to convince today.
Yeah, it was a lack of unit tests.
Okay. So just think about the damage a bug can make in different environments. Ideally, your tests prevent bugs being created at all. But you know, such a perfect world just doesn't exist. So having a bug in development doesn't have such a big impact. It's really frustrating for the developers as they have to spend more time with finishing the feature. But except for the development expenses, there are no additional costs. But if a bug does get in your production environment, the impact can be massive. Now it's not only the developers who are frustrated, but also all of your users and all the stakeholders. So you can say that you, as a developer or a tester or whatever, not getting things done is still less frustrating than deploying broken code. So what is a good strategy to help the product team to embrace front-end testing? The worst thing you can do is to force your team to write front-end tests. So if you want to create a testing process that holds up to the test of time, you have to make it feel natural. So when does a process feel natural? So first of all, you have to make sure that everyone is on the same page and understands the importance of testing and also its return on investment. So tests have to become a part of the product, and branches without or with broken code are not finished and will not be merged. So we had the vision of a perfect world, which was that testing is easy if we do it right. Our mindset should be that testing both saves time and saves frustration. The team is always sure and knows that everything works, and this process feels nice and natural. So this sounds very ambitious, and even we were skeptical ourselves about our own vision, but we thought, just try it and learn from what will happen.
Yes. So yeah, that's exactly what we did, and we have learned a lot. Okay, so to determine our first steps toward a new updated process, we took a very close look at where we were. Our definition of done was lacking front-end tests, so our first step was to update the definition of done. This means that the whole team, the whole product team understands that a feature is not done when the front-end test is, if it has no front-end test. So we chose Nightwatch JS. First of all, it's we have worked with it before, so we knew how it worked, and it also came along with Vue.js, so we didn't even have to set it up; it was just there. I, as a developer, I often just focus on tasks, and I want to get things done. And I kind of forget to think about the big picture, because every little task has a purpose in which impacts the experience of the user. So we have to look through the eyes of the user as much as possible. I think that it's not easy, and I know I'm not the only one who struggles with this. So to make it easier for us, we started to try to use user stories, because we think that this will make it easier for everyone to not forget about the purpose of what we built. So this is what a user story looks like. It's a simple template. As somebody, I want something, and whatever you build has a reason. So it's pretty simple. So the user stories create a shift in the way we think. So we were talking more about them. There was more the discussion in the team, and we helped you to create priorities. What is important now? What does the user want now? So this is how our first user story looked like. So in the screenshot you saw before, there was a dashboard. We wanted to add the ability to see in a glance the statuses of all the jobs. So if a job is created, is a job done. It was a long way for the user to find out all these statuses, and by adding them to the dashboard, it was just easier. In addition, we also added these acceptance criteria. It's there to help to make clear when the user story is actually fulfilled, so when it's done. No, that one. But because these acceptance criteria are not very specific, it isn't really clear for the developer when the issue is sufficiently tested. So what happens is this. No, your eyes are fine, it's blurred out. It's a bad thing to put a lot of text on your slide, so you cheated. Yeah, to be safe, the developer thought of every single edge case. And there was one, he really had good intentions to write a really good test, but this big thing happened. So there are several problems here. It is way too long, and it also contains lots of duplicate code, and there's way too much noise. It's very hard to read, especially for non-technical members, and it's also very hard to maintain. So there was like one of the concerns that Katja mentioned before was that writing tests wastes a lot of time. Well, if you do it like this, yes, you do waste a lot of time. Here's an example of the output of the Nightwatch runner. We blurred out all of the elements, and what is left is just so much noise. It's nothing really that really has a value. So with output like this, your complete team doesn't really know what's going on. It doesn't know the status. Is it good? Is it a good test? I don't know. And this feels more like a debugging output than really something useful. So if you would like front-end tests to have some kind of code coverage or something like that, this just doesn't work. Nobody wants to read this. Also, if you think about it, we had a user story a moment ago, and this does not look at all like the acceptance criteria. It's just so technical. So to tackle our problem with this, we asked Katja for help. And she had a great idea. What we needed was a behavior-driven development framework. So BDD in short. BDD is basically just test-driven development inspired by domain-driven design. So before implementing code, you write user stories with test scenarios. Also, you concentrate on the behavior of the users instead of just testing like random things. So then Katja also introduced us to Cucumber, which felt really good for us. And the idea is that you start with feature files. So these are written in Gherkin, and they contain the user story as well as the scenarios. The Gherkin syntax enables us to write simple, plain English sentences with some easy rules to follow. You will see that in a minute. These feature files do not contain the test implementation. Also, one of our biggest problems was the absence of a good structure. So we shifted from testing big pages to testing small scenarios. And with help of a little abstraction, we got rid of lots of noise in the code and made it a lot more pleasant to read. As Katja mentioned before, the main coders of the team were Java developers. And by moving away from Nightwatch DS, and we added JBehave to Cucumber. So they are very comfortable in writing Java, and now they could also write their tests in Java. So here's our user story again. It's the same one, but instead of a little acceptance criteria sentence, it's actually got scenarios. So like this one. They are pretty straightforward. Again, we blurred it out because the details aren't really important. But there is a structure there. This is the Gerben syntax, and the Gerben syntax is like just normal sentences. It's just a little text. But every sentence starts with a keyword. So we got given, when, and then. These are the keywords that define the criteria. These are very typical for behavior-driven development. The cool thing is, so these are written together during the planning of the features, and we can just copy-paste this into our code. Oh yeah, these are the keywords. So we really literally copy-pasted the code into our feature file. It's as easy as that. Yeah, but as mentioned before, this is not a test implementation, so those are of course in other files, separate files. So here's an example. This is JBehave. This is Java code. If you look at the second line, you see this decorator with @given. This is how the feature file is linked to the actual implementation. It's there. And the cool thing here is that, unlike in Nightwatch, we can reuse this step as often as you want, because we got many scenarios, and lots of scenarios would start just like this. Also, a cool thing is in those feature files you can also use variables. So here's just like a status label: did the job start? Did the job finish? This enables us to write just one implementation instead of blowing it up in dry. So now we got completely different output of our test runner. Instead of element is visible after X milliseconds and something's present and all these details that nobody cares about are gone. And now we actually got some readable, cool output. With like this is output with the whole team can understand what's going on. The colors here have a good meaning. If something is blue, there's a feature file for it, but it's not an implementation yet. So this is kind of our to-do. And green is implemented, and it's the tests pass, so the code behind the actual code is good. And in the last scenario, it's a bit hard to read, but there's a red line. The red line is the test that actually got a bug, so found a mistake. So by the new output of the test runner, we actually got something like code coverage. And the thing is, we created a definition of done, and there was, with Nightwatch, we didn't really have any proof that we actually stick to it. And by creating this new kind of output from this list that we just saw, if everything is green, then we really stick to the definition of done. So again, here's our vision, our very ambitious vision. And as you can see, the word perfect, we strike it through, and we kind of make it real. So by shifting from random testing to really defining what do you want to test, create acceptance criteria, we made it very easy for ourselves. So we developers didn't really have to think a lot, what do I want to test, and either test way too little or way too much. So we actually have some rules, everything is defined. That way we also save a lot of time and lots of frustration. Also, we wanted to let the complete team know that everything is stable, everything works, and by using our continuous integration and stuff, we can actually visualize that everything's okay. And key was we wanted the process that feels nice, the process that feels natural. So we didn't force end-to-end testing at all, but we together, like all of the complete team, just sat together, we talked with each other, and it means that we created a process that we started one, we tried one, then we were not satisfied, we were not happy, so we refined it and tailored it completely for us, for our team. So we now have a process that everybody's actually fine with. The tests are written.
So as you can see, all in all, we can say that integrating the test into our workflow wasn't as hard as we expected. So the good thing is that now also the non-technical team members can write the user scenarios, and the developers can just implement them. So we have a product owner who doesn't know writing code at all, and now he doesn't have to know the code base to define what he wants to be tested. And also we have seen that now better tests are written in less time if developers can just use their trusted language. So by adding JBehave to Cucumber, we just eliminated the hurdle of JavaScript. So the Java developers can now write tests in Java. So if you want to set up your own testing process, we would like you to consider these takeaways that we tell you now. So testing should be a part of the product, and all the team members should be involved into the testing process. So it's crucial to work together. As transparency is key to reliable planning, not only for you, but also for the whole team, you have to visualize the progress so that everybody sees how far are we with implementing this feature. Also, working together means a lot of communication. And as teams nowadays are more and more cross-functional and they have different roles, it's really crucial to use the same vocabulary so that you avoid a lot of misunderstandings. If you don't have a definition of done yet, please define one together with your team and make it visible for everyone. For example, by just hanging a poster or something. And maybe don't forget to include some testing into it. So you have to try to eliminate as many pain points as possible. You have to choose the right framework that fits to you and your team and your way of working. And you have to write the tests in the language you want to write them. Also very, very important is keeping your testing suite slim. You have to concentrate on the most important scenarios so that the runtime of the test is as short as possible. So we hope that you find our insights a little bit helpful and that we could convince you that it is possible to write front-end tests even with a little smile if you find a way of working together that is fine with everyone, that feels natural. Also, we are searching for people who share our mindset. So if you're interested in one of our job offers, just come and talk to Kim and me. So thank you very much for your attention. And are there any questions? Yes, please.
How do you version control your test definitions that are not written by technical users? So is there a syncing of the expectations
That's a very good question. We also asked that ourselves, how do we work with change? As we shifted to these feature files, it kind of helped, and we work with Scrum. We have small plannings, and in the plannings the team comes together, and if we want to change something, we do it together. So we got a beamer set up, and the feature files are created together, but also changed together. Yeah.
So there's a single repository. If I get the ticket, do this, then I have the single point of truth. There is this repository or online system where.
Yeah, the feature files are inside of GitHub too, but in the code base.
You showed that the user stories are written in plain English, so they're quite easy to read. So they're quite easy to write as well. Is there a different distinction then between developers and product owners who are writing these user stories? Is their responsibility now moved from developer to the...
No, it did not shift, but because we also write these feature files together, the user stories are also written together. So the idea behind it is new ideas for features, for anything, comes from different directions. So we got a product owner who keeps an eye on the market, but we also got a technical owner who keeps an eye on the technical market, and there's a lot of communication. And if it means everybody has this draft, and when we plan together, we take these drafts or just ideas, can be any kind of form, and then we write the feature files together.
Also earlier, we had tickets which were defined by the one who wrote the ticket, like the product owner or somebody else, and the developer just didn't know what was the purpose of the ticket. So we had a lot of misunderstandings because the product owner, for example, wrote something, the developer implemented it in his way, and then the misunderstanding occurred. And now, as we talk about the tickets and then define the user story altogether, it is very clear why we want to have this feature and what it should accomplish then. So it doesn't really shift it, but now all the team knows what it has to do. Yeah.
But don't you expect when you scale up a bit that it will take too much time to gather all developers and product owners in the same room and to actually do this sort of grooming?
We think no, because as in Scrum we already have these meetings. Every 2 weeks we just sit together and plan our next sprint. And that's the time when everybody sits together, the PO and the developers. So we were kind of used of talking about the issues that we want to put in another sprint. So now it's just another way of writing those issues.
And also, are you putting this online, the presentation?
Yes.
When? No, where?
It will be part of the video. It will be part of the video as well. And if you want, we can share it on SlideShare or something. Yeah. Okay, so thank you very much.